Welcome everyone to episode 3 of ACS Connect, where we connect the dots in health equity. For this episode, we connect with Juan Villalobos out of Bakersfield, California, to talk about health disparities in the LGBTQ plus community and to discuss Pride Month. Welcome, Juan, to the podcast. So excited to have you on. Can you share a little bit about yourself and also your relationship to cancer and how it's touched your life?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. My name is Juan Villalobos. I am a first generation Latino. I'm a first generation LGBTQ community member. I was born in Jalisco, raised in California. And, there's just first generation for a lot of cool things. And first time doing a podcast, so thank you. But the way that cancer has affected my life, it has been tremendously positive and negative. Negative in the way that I've lost a lot of family members, a lot of friends, family, students at schools, teachers, and most recently my father 3 years ago. Cancer has taken too many lives away from me already. And the positive side is that I've gotten to make connections with people like you and people that volunteer and want to end this. So that's the way that cancer has affected me.
Thank you. And I know another way that you fight back is that you are a volunteer lead for Relay for Life of Bakersfield, and you are the youth and activities lead for that event. Can you tell me why it's so important for you to not only be involved in that event, but why it's important for you to pass the torch to the younger generation who's in the fight against cancer?
So the amazing thing about my role is that I get to bring fun to Relay for Life. I get to have activities all 24 hours going on and making people have a good time while still raising funds and making an impact. The other part is to introduce youth to Relay for Life and introduce Relay for Life to the youth. One way we do that is we empower them and we give them tasks to do at Relay. We have them run activities and programs, while at the same time that is going into full effect of passing that torch. Eventually I will phase out and I won't be able to do everything that I do now or have the same energy. And getting these, young adults right involved within high school, elementary, junior high, and college, it's honestly just setting them up to take over and to continue the fight until we have that answer to cancer.
And speaking of fun activities, I know that we all love to celebrate and have fun during Pride Month, but there's a reason why we chose to do this podcast in July and have it air in July and not in June. And it's because we wanted to continue that conversation about health equity and the LGBTQ plus community all year long, right? Not just in June. Can you tell me why it's important to celebrate Pride all year long and not only in the month of June?
Yeah, so the basic answer is because equality matters year round and not just in June. So although a lot of people, do events, celebrate, change their logo, and support our community, it's only in the month of June, and then it kind of seems like it phases out. So who better than ourselves to continue to talk about it and really just bring the awareness out year long. So this is why it's amazing to have this podcast in the month of July and to continue to talk about it to make sure that we are getting that equality that we need.
Right. And it's through those efforts of advocates like yourself that we're going to continue to have these conversations that are necessary, not only to approach health equity in a different way for all communities, but that way we get the right resources out to communities like the LGBTQ plus community. How do you think the information that ACS shares is helpful to your personal fight against cancer?
Oh God, it was amazing. There's a lot of things that I didn't realize that were barriers for myself, for people like me. And even though that I am out and I am proud and I talk about who I am and stuff, there's so many things that I didn't realize that were holding me back. Simple as talking to my doctor about, who I am. I've seen my doctor for the last 5 years, but I've never had a full-on conversation, let him know that I'm bisexual and, my lifestyle is way different than your traditional hetero male. So there's things that I may not be getting done, tests that I may not be getting done, medication that I may need or come across, that what I would have access to if I just openly talked to my doctor about it.
Right. And when you were reviewing the information that ACS does provide, what stood out to you the most as far as data or statistics? Was there something that just was a wow or aha moment?
Yes, my moment was more like, that's a lie. That can't be it. And it was the first sentence that I read on the challenge. And as people who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, and queer may have a higher risk of getting cancer than those who identify as hetero or cisgender. To me, that just sounded false, honestly. It was like, that's a big, bold statement to make. So I continued to read a little bit more to kind of get that answer. And it's true. There's so many things that we don't discuss and we don't talk about, or we don't even go to doctors because of our community, because of our status, because we don't want people to prejudge us or judge us in general. So that was the biggest stat that I've read that kind of really, really threw me off.
Right. And not only coming from the LGBTQ plus community, but as you shared earlier, being a first generation Latino caregiver, it adds to the layers of barriers when it comes to health equity. So why do you think it's important for you as a first generation Latino and caregiver and member of the community to have health equity addressed?
So the biggest reason is to get people like me, health, and let them know there's a lot of barriers. So everything that represents me is a barrier, unfortunately. But thankfully for me, there is resources that I am being able to use. I have, people that I talk to that help me bring those to light. Things like this podcast has made me realize how many barriers are here. And being able to talk to people and being able to vocalize and use a platform like this, use a platform at events and let people know who look like them, sound like them, and are like them, that there's all these barriers that that have in front of them, but there is ways to get around them. And we need to tell people what we want. We need to fight for what we want, equality. And we just need to not be part of those barriers. We need to talk, we need to vocalize, we need to share, and just continue going.
And we can share about barriers and health disparities, but we also want to share about the celebration, right? The celebration of Pride. How do you celebrate Pride, and how would you like to see Pride and the LGBTQ plus community celebrated at ACS?
So I love Pride now. Back then, when I wasn't open about who I was, I didn't really celebrate it. Now I celebrate it with friends, I celebrate it with family, I celebrate it with Facebook posts, Instagram posts. By doing podcasts like this, I get to talk to people. I get to share my story, not for them to know who I am, but to really realize that things that they're going through and things that are in their minds are normal, and everyone else, faces different things, but we are one. That's why we are a community. So being able to celebrate that way and hopefully making an impact in at least one person's life is the way that I want to celebrate Pride and continue to do it. The way that I would love for ACS to do it is to just shine a little more light on it. So we do have all these amazing resources. We have them at our local ACS offices. We have them at Relay for Life mission events, at the mission tent, at the events. But we don't really talk about it too much. Being part of this community, one of the reasons I never brought it up is because first I was ashamed of who I was. And now people like me that are open to talk about it, and having people like you who are open to talk about it too and have these discussions is how I want ACS to continue to talk about it, how to promote it, and how to represent at Pride events, at events like Relay for Life, at Real Men Wear Pink, at our local office, and just our communities in general.
Thank you. You're right. It's important that we need to showcase a lot more of what we do to address these issues within our communities. So people who do want to come to the fight and elevate these voices within the community, what can they do? What's something that you would say if someone said they were interested in volunteering with ACS? What could they expect, and what could they see at an event?
So first thing is come forward, vocalize what you want, because that's what this podcast is about. Let us know that you want to be involved. We would love to have you on our team. After all, there's always space for more people, for recruits. Talk to your community, talk to your event leadership team at the event. Call the 1-800 number. Reach out to me and you. I'm sure that you would love for people to reach out, and we will connect you to your community leadership team and get you involved. What to expect: fun, impactful memories, and life-changing events every single time. You're going to meet so many different people that are facing so many different things. But through this, everything that you come across will definitely change your mind.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Juan, and thank you in full, genuine disclosure for impacting my life. You are a light in our event, and you have brought so much joy to our event and so much fun. I mean, we've already shared that you are a youth activities lead, but you bring so much fun and an authenticity to our event. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.